talk a little bit about your transfer and your exchange. I've actually kind of been like battling myself a little bit on the teaching of the transfer. I've done it a certain way for a long time, and I'm kind of
Yeah.
evolving to something a little different. So I'm interested to hear your thought on the transfer.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's gonna have their own thing, like
Mm-hmm.
for me, like you said, like the velocity part, like there's like a give and take with this thing. Like some guys are blessed to have both transfer and let that thing eat, you know what I mean? But some guys just have to be quicker with the transfer. Some guys are slow with the transfer and just have the arm. So like if you look at it, like I feel like there's ways around it, like for me, like if I'm not gonna have the velocity, well that thing needs to get out and be in a good spot every single time, you know. So for me it's like catch the ball as deep as you can. Like it's a feel versus real kind of thing. So like I feel like I'm catching the ball off my chest, but I'm not. I'm nowhere near catching the ball off my chest. Like I'm catching it out in front and I'm trying to exchange it out in front of my eyes. I know I'm not doing that either. I know I'm kind of like dipping down and dropping the ball. Like there's a lot of people starting to see that where guys are like flicking the ball under their hand, which is like that's what you do in the game. Like not many people like catch the ball, go in and grab the ball and then throw. Like not many people do that. It's like a true exchange of like what we talked about, like being an athlete on the field, like an infielder, like a double play. So for me, like if I were to work exchanges, like it's like let's see how deep I can catch it off my chest and exchange like right in front of my eyes, get a little bit out in front, exchange right in front of my eyes, and then like for me, there's certain I feel like there's certain areas to where if I'm going to transfer the ball, like if I'm going to first base, I want to let it travel as much as I can because I want the ball to turn me. Like if I'm going to second base, I don't want to catch it too deep because I don't want to be stuck behind. So like I have to find that happy medium. And for me, it's like working all those angles around. Like you're going to be out in front on a couple, you're going to be over here on a couple, you're going to be down on a couple. Like work every single angle so that your body's not unfamiliar with when you get to that position. Like, oh dang, I'm over here. I never practiced this. How am I going to get there? Or like, oh man, how am I going to transfer that? Like, do I have to get across my face? Like, oh, it's on my right shoulder. I can let it get deep a little bit. So like all these positions that you get into, like you got to practice them. And like whether you touch them like once or twice every 2 weeks, your body's going to get familiar with it and be like, oh, okay, that's how my body has to line up. Sometimes it's like, go be an athlete, like go be an infielder. Like I feel like we're infielders too, man. We play in the dirt. Like,
Hell yeah.
we have to move our feet. We block baseballs. Like we get in front of balls. So like, I just feel like sometimes you just got to be an athlete, but there are things that you can work on to where your body's not so unfamiliar with it when it does happen.
And when you're training that transfer, like, because it's like Jerry Weinstein was doing a presentation. He was talking about how like all the best throwers actually like they
Drop.
drop into an open
Mm-hmm.
hand, right? But
Mm-hmm.
like it's another one of those. Just like you said, I've always taught guys to get the ball, let the ball get deep, and then people argue like, well, it's not. But I'm like, yeah, but that's a. I need them to not be way the hell out here.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
that's all it is. So on the
Yeah.
same thing with the transfer with the drop, are you practicing it with the palm up, or do you practice trying to get the glove turned more?
Palm up. I mean, I would say like for me, like I try to do it as quick as I can without closing my glove. I had a great catching coach for many years. Hector Ortiz would teach us like, hey, like once that ball hits your glove, boom, get that thing in your hand. And he
Mm-hmm.
would teach us like, don't go get the ball, like exchange it, like hit it and make it go to your hand. And it was one of the best drills that I thought we could have done because like once I started getting a hold of that, I was like, man, that feels like a transfer at second base. Like that's what infielders do. So like, why not just think of it as an infielder? And like Hector was the best at this thing. He's the man. And the ball would be coming out of the machine, and he would just pop up, and you're like, damn, Heck, how'd you do that so quick, bro? And he's got some years on him, so he would teach us like that. So like for me, it's like a cross and get that ball like to pop in my hand.
And it's like uh, another like battle with like the right hand where it's like, I don't want guys to go to the ball with the glove, but like we also can't be like, because as you kind of like get that little bit of cheat,
Yeah,
your right hand will kind of creep away and you create a little too much space. So there's kind of that gray area in the middle of like, don't go get it, but like we kind of got to go get it in the
yeah.
middle of our body, right?
Like I like to keep my hand kind of like on this right side of my body,
Uh
no
huh.
matter where the pitch is. Like I know that my glove's gonna go to my right hand. like wherever I catch it, like I know that wherever it's at, I can go to my right hand. And that's how kind of like I would train it. And like for me, like I remember for a really long time when I would throw, like when I would see the runner go, my hand would creep up to my chest, and I'd be like, okay, I just got to get to my chest. So that might be something that'll help too. That's
Yeah,
something that
for
has helped
sure.
me in the past, but like I want to have an idea of where my right hand is.
So on the other piece, when you get the ball into your hand, the other thing that I found really important is that some kids, players, will get that ball in their hand very quick, but their hands kind of stay together. And
Yeah,
something like an old infield instructor that we used to have here that I used to see would always like reinforce separation.
yeah,
Um, are you focusing separation in that as well?
yeah. Like try to get. I mean, just get the ball out. Like one of Bobby Wilson's key things was like ball in hand, ball in the air. Like you get that ball in your glove, you get that ball in your hand, get that ball in the air. Like get that foot down, get the ball in the air. Like that's one of the biggest things. So like I don't know if that's maybe why like have a better transfer or what it is, but like ball in hand, ball in the air. Like get it out and put it in a good spot.